Yo, what's up, guys? I just wanted to take a look at ANY since we recently did a video on it, and I was talking about when we were in there that we could see a rip up to about 808, and then I would expect a pullback. And I said if we broke the 745 area here, we were roughly around this area right here, then we could see that pull up, and if we got rejected, we could see our push back down to the 715 to 676 level. And of course we ended up breaking out not too long after I posted that video, which we ended up peaking up at around 831, which, you know, if I was able to look at the 4-hour Ichimoku Cloud, we could have actually called that pretty close to that same price, because we can see here that right around 843, 834 roughly, that was a key resistance level, and you can see how closely we got up into that converging line there. So anyway, but it's okay. 810 I think was my fib level, 808, and that was a great area. Now I told you guys that I bought down at 632 and 641, and that was right in this like little consolidation right here. Now I want to talk about real quick before I get into the analysis that I have for you guys today on why I am so bullish on ANY. And besides the fact that we've been in this beautiful rising channel here, but also if we look on a weekly time frame, this thing looks a lot more beautiful than you'd think. I mean, of course, I don't know what all this other price action is. It's possible it was some kind of reverse merger or something. I don't really care. Sometimes TradingView does that, where they just show me that the stock was one time worth $100,000, and I'm like, where is all this price action from? So all I care about for me is all of this trading action that happened right in between this area here. And if you look at this line here, this resistance line, get out of here, freaking bee. If you look at this resistance line, you can see the taps here, get out, freaking prick, here, lower high here, and you can see all of that resistance that we had underneath this line. And due to that, it caused a lot of price action to trade underneath it. But then there was a point in time after this lower high here, we made a very clean giant W and a W break of this resistance, and we ripped, and because of that we ripped all the way up here where we talked about yesterday in that video of 1192 or whenever it was, a couple days ago. So during that time, and these are weekly candles, what did we do for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks? We held this resistance line, or once resistance, and we flipped it as support. And that's why it got me so extremely bullish for this break here. So now we have this beautiful weekly push off of this previous line here at 569. And then since then we made this descending triangle. That was where we were holding this support, this 579, and then we broke this descending triangle. So this was the breakout that I was playing here, and I entered as soon as I confirmed that there was some nice support around this 641 roughly area, 632, 641. So now we're breaking again. We had a very nice blast off of that consolidation, and now we've been ripping up, and we've kind of been creating this rising broadening wedge a little bit. We still haven't really came back down to the 676, which I've talked about a few times here, have came back to that. And I guess it's still possible we could come back to that. However, so far we've pretty much created this very nice uptrending support, which I could kind of draw at something like that, and we can see this is our uptrending support line that we've been following now, and I found that after this recent dip here that we got to the 692. And in the video I talked about how we could come back to 690 or 676, and those would be great long areas. So hopefully, if anyone that watched it that wasn't in was able to accumulate some ANY around this area. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that it's never going to come lower. This could still be an area that we end up buying later on, 680. However, I think that based off of that, we should see some pretty good price action. Now the next area that we really need to keep our eyes on, which also came in as that Ichimoku Cloud resistance, is roughly in my opinion, is roughly where we're kind of trending at now. If we put this line here, we kind of make it yellow, and then we'll make this other support line also yellow, just to give us a clear view of the fact that, you know, that those are our key support and resistance areas here. We can see when we came down here to this was our previous resistance all the way going back to as far as the stock can go back. And then we can see here, just based off of this price action here, we kind of chopped around this 746, 745 area here, and we chopped around quite a bit. Now we did get some 4-hour closes above, which also allowed for a very nice clean rip. However, we never actually back tested it and confirmed it, which was right here. This would have been our beautiful back testing confirmation. So really, the next play, this inside here, technically, even though we had this beautiful break to confirm that we held this as support, which was why it was a great entry, our next play is really going to be possibly seeing like a nice daily bar closing with a flat bottom above this 750 roughly area here. So that's where we're at right now, is that in order to continue blasting up here, we need to see ourselves closing and holding above this level. I mean, we could go down to the hourly candle and we can kind of see here that even with this rip up, tapped this upper resistance, came down, couldn't back test it, found support here, came up, and we're kind of rejecting a hair right here. We can see on the hourly candles here, I mean the hourly RSI, we're getting a pretty good size rollover right there. Now if we do continue to hold this as support here, then we could probably see us come back down to about the 725 area, I believe. Let me just put a price action tool here so that we can kind of get a visual of what this thing could do depending on how it plays out. I mean, it still roughly ranges around that 715. So we do want to watch that and see how we're going to hold up while we trade in these ranges here of 746 roughly is my area, 725 is a fib, but we could come back down here before creating a double bottom, ripping to the upside. But if we were to come down and lose this, obviously that 780, 776 roughly area could come in confluence if we do lose this rising broadening wedge. But I personally am not too sure if we would. I mean, I'm not going to try to predict anything, but I just feel like we still have some room to run here, especially based off of this pattern target. Let's just take a quick look and see how this played out. I guess that technically speaking, we did hit that target. So that's, I didn't realize that originally. So I guess that's kind of where we're at right now, is that we have to see this thing be able to confirm support and start flagging. If we can flag here, consolidate on this range, this might be the setup of a very, very strong move. Another thing that we want to look at here is the Ichimoku Cloud. Not this, I'm opening too many indicators here, is the Ichimoku Cloud. Now this is on the 1 hour, so that's not going to be as crucial, but we have a lot of support as of right now way down here between the 676 area, and then, you know, if we continue trading sideways here, we'll end up with a lot of support with this, would be this green cloud. But this is all the 1 hour time frame. But we can see in the past here, which is why I'm also very bullish on this thing, is this monster red 1 hour cloud here was pretty much, I mean, in this area here, we had some resistance down here in this $4 to $5 range. And when we blasted through that red resistance, we didn't really have much to go off of up here until we could really came back into this previous channel. So then we ended up kind of consolidating here a lot underneath this red 1 hour cloud. And when we finally lifted above it and started confirming some support here, that was when we flipped it into support, which was previous resistance. And once again, we came down and we pretty much held a very strong level, which, you know, this support should land down to that 676, which I'm still looking at that 676 as a possibility. But I believe if we do hold in this cloud, then this should do pretty well. Now, of course, we can look here on the 3 hour and see that, you know, if we can't get above and close above the 667, sorry, there's so many letters and numbers. if we can't get above this area here, there might be a chance where we end up having some further consolidation, which would probably lead us trending in this area, which would be absolutely fine by me because I don't need to be in a rush to make this money. But we can kind of see what happened here. Previously, I showed you on the 1 hour, there was that big giant red cloud. And then we actually just consolidated on old resistance and flipped it into new support. And then we pretty much had resistance underneath this line here of the 676 I've been talking about for quite some time. So for us to trend and go sideways there wouldn't be a bad look. However, I'm kind of just anticipating that we end up flipping and holding on to this this broadening wedge here for a little while. But we'll have to see what happens here within the next few hours and days to see if we are going to actually have to break from this and consolidate for a little bit before moving up, or if we're going to actually continue holding this trend. And those are the two possibilities that I'm looking at here, and I want to see a bigger pattern form in this area, because right now I'm not seeing like any real pattern anywhere besides that broadening wedge. I mean, I don't know if we're going to end up making some kind of falling wedge out of this or what we're going to end up doing, but we're not seeing anything too crazy yet. I am liking a few things that I've been noticing just based off of Ichimoku Cloud support, fib retracement support, and then like just the fact that right now we're hanging on above this 747. And we can also see on the daily another huge thing that I've been watching since I entered around this area, and this will probably be the last thing before I let you guys go. And if you don't like ANY, that's on you. I mean, leave a comment below and let me know, are you guys in this thing that's watching this? Are you guys just kind of looking for a position? Did you grab a position? These are all things I'd love to know, because I make these things not only for myself but also to hopefully help somebody else. So this is the last thing that I'm going to talk about. And I mean, if you know about the Ichimoku Cloud, then you would kind of understand how important it can be in various cases. But right now, if we're in this daily time frame, and the next daily candle is actually proving to us right now, if we can hold above the 745, that this cloud here could act as extreme support. And coincidentally, it's landing, well, let me just check where it's landing, because I don't know if it's going to land. But it's landing so damn close to this resistance line, the second upper yellow line I created that we talked about. It's landing right in that zone. And when the cloud is green, that can act as very, very strong support. So depending on if we can maintain above it, even if we wick into it, this could lead to something absolutely phenomenal if we can control it. And that's going to be our springboard to lifting us off into some new highs that people wouldn't even believe. I mean, obviously, it's going to take some time if this channel continues to hold as it has through this whole trend. I mean, we can just find support there like I've just drawn, rip to this upper resistance of this 11 old peak right here, and then have a nice tumble, and then consolidate on this and continue on this trend here, which would make higher lows each time. But obviously, as it's in this upper channel, like you saw with AMD, if you watched my recent AMD video I just made, I mean, these kind of channels can last for years if they want to, but of course we just have to watch and see. I mean, I'm not playing this thing, technically I'm not playing this thing for a very, very long time. I have some exit positions, and I'm kind of looking to take some profits up in the 967s, $10 ranges, and then ultimately at this old high here, if we can get up into this 11 range, I may take some profits depending on how everything looks. And of course, I'll try to make some updates as we get up there to see how everything plays out. But I'm very, very optimistic on this thing, and I'm just trying to keep my eyes on seeing what happens. I know what we can do, though. We can come down down to this 676 range, of course. But for the most part, what we're doing right now can lead us to something extremely bullish. We just have to be cautious and just keep our eyes on this main level that we're trying to hold support on now. So I hope all that made sense. Smash the like button if you appreciated my time here. And with that being said, happy tradings.